As Amazon Games' first real breakout experiment, New World is an upcoming buy-to-play, that means no subscription fee once you buy it, open-world, massively multiplayer online RPG with over 1,000 players per server that's set in the 17th century, mixing real-world history with fantastical creatures, magic, and mythology. In New World, players from around the world will fight together and against one another to secure and establish the monster-covered island of Aeternum. Here's everything we know so far. As of right now, New World does not have a definitive release date, but at the 2019 Game Awards last year, the new cinematic trailer revealed that Amazon Games is planning to launch New World in May 2020, exclusively for PC. Rather than trying to emulate history directly, New World is entirely fictional, but uses 17th century explorers and new land discovery as its basis of inspiration. In New World, you take control of an intrepid adventurer that finds themselves on the shore of Aeternum, also known as the Eternal Isle. The land of Aeternum is overflowing with Azoth, a powerful substance that's rumored to be capable of bestowing eternal life, sort of like the Fountain of Youth. Obviously, you and fellow travelers are compelled to investigate further. Aeternum is, on paper, a diverse region with a mixture of beautiful landscapes and supernatural geographical anomalies. Once you arrive, though, you'll discover that it's anything but an idyllic paradise. Creatures cover the island and grotesque monsters roam freely. A powerful and twisted force known as the Corruption has overtaken the land and infected everything it comes into contact with. You've got to fight back against the Corruption, take control of the land, and compete with other rival explorers to stake your claim and secure your legacy. There are no classes in New World. Instead, your gear and playstyle define the type of character that you play. Players define their characters through the weapon mastery, attributes, and endless trade skill progression systems. The weapon mastery system acts as a replacement for a traditional class system. Every weapon has skill trees to upgrade. So the more you use a certain weapon, the higher level that weapon becomes and then unlocks paths along the skill tree. You'll also be able to quickly switch to different weapons on the fly. New World isn't a passive tab targeting based MMO. Instead, it uses a more fast-paced, action-focused combat system. The developers have specifically cited Dark Souls as a key influence on combat, albeit a little bit more accessible. Player characters, weapons, and everything has collisions in the game world and requires actual contact to do damage. There are still cooldowns and abilities to trigger, but it's within that simulated physical space rather than simply targeting a character. Generally, combat is split into three core types: melee, physical ranged like bows, and magical ranged. Skill, technique, and knowledge will be more important than sheer character level. Being higher level will not guarantee success in combat for either PvP or PvE. New World's territory system also sets the game apart. Player companies own areas within the landmass itself called territories, and these companies are in charge of everything from setting taxes to determining community projects like upgrading blacksmithing. Players that own land or homes within a territory don't get to elect leaders. Leadership is decided by the company that controls the territory. But when a war happens, players that live in a territory have the opportunity to pick a side to fight for in that war. Maybe the attacking company promises to lower tax rates. You'll get to choose where your loyalty lies. During initial closed alpha testing, PvP in New World was extremely dangerous. No matter where you went, players could attack each other and you could lose your entire inventory of gear. Since then, things have fortunately changed to move away from incentivizing P-King, which is player killing, griefing, and surprise attacking lower level players, to instead encourage consensual, competitive combat. With the current game format, the formal PvP modes are entirely opt-in experiences split between two major types: war and open world PvP. War is a massive 50 vs 50 player battle that begins when a company, the New World version of a guild or a clan, declares war on a territory they want to take over that's owned by a different company. From there, each company will draft a roster of 50 combatants and agree on a time. It's combat by appointment. The war happens on protected battlefields, so only those confirmed for the war can participate, which ensures a fair fight. Defenders have to protect their flag, which is at the center of the fort, while attackers try to claim it. The war only ends if the attacker attackers break through and claim the flag or the time limit expires. Throughout the battle, both sides earn points for supplies, upgrades, gear, and other reinforcements. Outside of that mode, there is still the ability for open world PvP combat, but it's not always on by default like it was in alpha testing. Now you have to opt in and flag yourself for being open to PvP. In order to opt in this way, you'll have to be in a faction, and in order to join a faction, you must be at least level 10. When you do this, you'll be eligible for increased rewards, even while exploring and doing PvE combat. Because of this, there is no longer a criminal system, since all open world PvP is opt-in. There will not be any forced PvP only servers at launch. So even though PvP is a huge part of what makes New World what it is, PvE is just as important. It's entirely possible to play New World without ever engaging in PvP if you wanted, but trying both is the best way to get everything you can out of the game. Currently, there are no instance dungeons or raids in New World at all. Instead, PvE content is mostly in the form of questing, open world events, world bosses, and group content across the map as a whole. Another core aspect of New World is a focus on crafting and light survival mechanics that require players to gather materials, hunt, and establish territory. If you don't want to wait until launch to play New World, you do not have to. If you pre-order either the Standard Edition or Deluxe Edition of New World, you'll not only get access to all of the associated bonuses, but you'll also get to play a month early in the closed beta, which starts in April. There's no specific date for the closed beta yet, but pre-ordering will secure your spot early. For more information on New World, stay tuned to IGN for hands-on impressions and more in the coming months.
The darkness will claim you.
Next Gen Console Watch 2020 is IGN's weekly show reporting on all the latest PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X news. We'll bring on experts to discuss and analyze all the latest developments of what's coming to the new generation of consoles. Join us weekly on Fridays at 6 a.m. Pacific.